All right, my dear friends, we are going to be creating something called an employee roster. A roster is going to allow you, it's a list of names for a specific function. Maybe you're going to have a list, you're going to invite so many of your friends to your birthday party coming up, and you need to make sure you've sent out the invitations or text messages or anything else. Or for high school graduation, you need to make sure you invite grandma or grandpa or cousin or auntie or anybody else. A roster is a list of names for a specific purpose, for some kind of venue or activity. So, what I want you to do is open up a new workbook for Excel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this assignment with you. At a certain point, I'm going to have you pause this information. You're going to type in the names just for the sake of the time of the assignment. I don't want to I want to give you the list of the names because some of the names are long, but I don't want to have you guys watch me type in all the names, but I'll get to that point here in just a moment. But this assignment, let's say I'm going to go and I'm going to learn, or I'm going to start a new business, and I'm going to go to 20 different um, new houses for cleaning for a couple times a week. But I also need new employees. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking through and hiring new employees for my company. And I need to make sure that they have everything on file before I can actually send them out to work, that I have all of the things that I need from them. So the very first thing with this is when we did the last assignment on the pet activity, we did a filter function where we were able to filter and sort the information, the data. This time we're going to compare and contrast to make sure everything is on point, and that way we can send people out to work whenever we're ready. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. As always, whenever you click a box, it's called a cell. In Microsoft Excel, you can see it right up here. You can see the type of font that we have going on, and we can bold it. We can change the alignment of it, whether it's going to be to the left, to the center, or to the right, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is, again, this is going to be activity 3. And this one, again, I'm going to call this with my name, Birdwell. You need to take a name. Again, this is for computer applications. I want you to make sure that you put in the class period because this might be class period 2 for now, but maybe it's 4, maybe it's 7. Please make sure you put the class period just so that way it makes it easier for me to grade. So the very first thing that we need to do is we're going to be giving this a title so that way we can look at it from a glance. So I'm going to, in B4, I'm going to call this my employee roster. Now, even though this goes over and flows into column C, don't worry about that right now. We're going to clean up the details a little bit. So in companies like the school district that I work in, I have an employee number. For an essential oil company that I order from, I have a number. We are assigned a lot of different numbers. And so if a company is going to be assigning an employee a specific number, maybe to clock in, clock out, or something else, it helps to kind of keep track of information. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to be assigning employee IDs. Now, this is a really great opportunity for us to look at how wonderful Microsoft Excel is and how it's a fantastic function. I'm making up employee ID numbers. Um, they're not real numbers in this particular instance. My work employee ID number at this time is only 5 digits. These are going to be 6 digits just for the sake of this assignment. So the first employee ID number is going to be 101301. Now the second one is going to be 101302. The third one is 101, 303, and so on and so forth. Now, Microsoft Excel, like you might have seen in the pet assignment, is really smart. It's like, oh, I see this pattern. I want to be able to continue and go forward with this. Microsoft Excel, even though you don't notice or observe it right now, it's already watching you and it's like, I see what you do in there. It says, I notice a pattern. If we started with the number 1, number 2, number 3, and we're going to go through 20 different numbers, or 20 different employees, we're going to be dragging this information. I'll show you what I mean. We're going to be able to go through 101320. Instead of typing all of this information, we're going to have Microsoft Excel automatically generate it for us. And let me show you how we do that. We're going to start at the first cell where in cell A7, where I've got the very first employee ID. I'm going to, with my mouse, hold and click on 301, 302, and 303. Okay, these first three numbers. Now, if you notice, it's got a green frame around it, but in the cute little right-hand corner, it's got a cute little green box. What you're going to do is watch your mouse. You see how it can change but the cursor between a couple different symbols. This one, where you have like a cross or like a plus sign, the black with intersecting lines, not the one with the arrows at the edges, but the one where you grab the little box at the end. Microsoft Excel says, hey, I see a pattern. What can I do for you? What we're going to do is we're going to grab that one with our mouse. We're going to click once. We're going to drag it down all the way through cell A26, I believe. Yeah, A26. So we're going to drag it down. We're going to grab it once, drag down. If you watch, it says, oh, wait a second. The next one, we're going to do 304, 305, and so on, if you can see where my mouse is. 101, 306, 307, and so on. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag all the way down to 320. Isn't that amazing? I love that. I love that about Microsoft Excel. I think it's so super smart. So now we've got our employee IDs. And again, I'm going to do that again, just so that way everybody's on the same page. When I've selected all three of the cells, I'm going to click once and pull down. So that way I've highlighted, I've selected these cells and they're highlighted. And then when I come to a little black cross right here, a little black plus sign, I'm going to grab the box down at the bottom and drag down until I get to row 26. Okay, so the very next thing is I need to make sure that I come up with my employee names. Now I'm going to sort these. I'm going to type them in by the last name and then the first name. And the reason I'm going to do this is that way it's going to be organized and that way it's consistent for me and for y'all. You're welcome to in future assignments when we do things, we might be able to do it first name, last name, but for this particular assignment, I want you to do last name, first name. So what I did is the names that I came up with would actually happen to be some of my ancestors. So the very first one is Hendrix, oops, that's wrong. Hendrix, Eber. All right, now when I'm done with this one, I can enter it. The next one is going to be James, Mary. The next one is going to be Talman, oops, Mama Angelina. And then the next one is going to be Hendrix. Now watch this. This is something that I think is interesting. Microsoft Excel says, I like to watch for patterns. Is this going to be a pattern? Hendrix. If I start to type it in and it says, do you want to repeat this person's name? I have to be very, very careful when I'm doing this that I don't repeat the name. I'm going to type in the person's name, who's Lita. That was his daughter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this list. After this point, I'm also going to put in the word DOB. DOB stands for date of birth. So I've made up some dates because these people have passed away. So the very first one for the date of birth for Eber, I'm going to say 04/13/1990. Oops, apologize. I hit the calculator button on my keyboard. 04/13/1990. For Mary, I'm going to say 07/05/1980. Oops, that did it wrong. It didn't do it wrong. My fingers did it wrong. Okay, for Angela Tellman, I'm going to say she was born November the 19th, 1985. For Lita, I'm going to say 02/26/1978. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and enter in this information so you don't have to finish watching me type. And then once this information is entered in, you'll be able to go ahead and pause the video and finish typing in yours just like mine. In the meantime, make your columns larger so that way you'll be able to see the dates of birth. And that way we'll be able to, 26, 78. There we go. Okay. That way, make the columns larger so that way yours will match mine. Okay, so now that I've filled out all of this information, I've got Pennington, Joshi, Fremstead, Haig, Hauge, Bething, things like that. So I've got the dates of birth in here, and this is a good spot for you guys to pause. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we've got all of the things ready to go for these individuals to get them going and working and out the door. So the very first thing I need is an I-9, which is a form I-9, just to make sure that I can hire them. The next one is called a W-4. This deals with taxes and to know how much I should withhold from their paychecks. And the next one is a direct deposit. And again, I'm going to modify this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say yes to all except the last 5. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go yes, and then these ones I'm going to say no. Okay. And again, if I say yes to these, just like I did over here, I can drag this down through there. Perfect. Now on the W4, I'm going to alternate yeses and nos just to complicate this assignment. So I'm going to start yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And again, I'm going to ask it to repeat this process all the way down. And on this one, I'm only going to say yes to the first 2 and no to the rest. So direct deposit means that I have their account information and I can automatically put everything into their bank account. So go ahead and pause this video. And from that point, after you've entered in everything, you'll be able to go through and work on the sort and filter. So the last part of this assignment is we want to make sure that we know what employees are ready to go to work. So the first thing is I like to put the name of the assignment in the center. We're going to make it bolded. And we're going to change all of this information to times for consistency purposes, just like we've done before. And again, I need to make these larger so that way everything fits in each column. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to do is I'm going to select the entire row where it says employee ID, the names, date of birth, and so on. This is where I'm going to do this sort and filter button. I'm going to click filter. And the very first thing that I need to do is I'm going to look for every employee who has not yet turned in their W-4. So what I'm going to do is on the W-4 one, on column E, I am going to click off of the yes. So when I click on these select ones, it's going to remove the information from the ones that say yes and only click on the ones that say no. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'll show you this one more time. I've gone and I have selected the row, I've selected sort and filter. Now on the W4, I'm going to select, instead of the no, I'm going to keep the no and I'm going to check off the yes. From that point, I can see Mary has not turned in her W-4. That means I don't know how much to withhold in her taxes. Lita, Benjamin, Elizabeth, Marianne, and so on. I don't know how much to withhold in their taxes. Now, the next piece of information is, although Mary has turned in her I-9, I also know that Kelker, Marie, and Estrella have not yet turned in their information. Now, I can see these at the bottom, but for the sake of this assignment, what I want you to do is we can also sort the information on the I-9. I want you to click I-9, and I want you to take off the ones that say yes. So again, these are the individuals who have not yet turned in their Form I-9s, which means that I can't send them out into the field. I told them I'd give them a job. I told them I'd give them great money to be able to do X, Y, and Z for my company, but I can't get them going yet. This is part of a business standpoint. After this part, what I want you to do is I want you to save this assignment as activity 3, employee roster, and I want you to upload it into Schoology or Canvas. If you have any questions, please let me know, and you can always send me an email to my school email. In the meantime, have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later.